Welcome to another edition of Ivy Talks. This is Draya Ivy here live on September 9th of 2019. Reporting live from London, England. Sitting here with the amazingly talented. I have two amazingly talented gentlemen. Well, three, but one is remaining anonymous because his debut is still pending. And I'm sitting here with the amazing DJ Jairzinho. How you doing?
I'm good.
You feeling good?
Feeling great.
All right, great. And then also I'm sitting here with Mr. DJ Sessions.
How you doing?
How are you?
I am fantastic.
You are many things. And we are here reporting live.
I don't know how to take that.
Don't mind me. It's Virgo season in September, and I'm just talking a whole lot of you know what. And I'm feeling good. We've been having a very productive conversation this evening. And I have to touch on that before we even get started.
Let's go.
I must touch on that. In terms of artistry, in terms of professionalism, in terms of intellectualism, I must respect the other men in the room as such. And I say that with the utmost respect. And I say that on an international level, which makes it even more boss on some Miami shit. DJ Jairzinho and also DJ Sessions, I give you guys the utmost of respect and the utmost of what could be salutations from Miami in London, but in London.
Bless.
We're here.
You just made me feel like I've just stepped out of the UK and gone into Miami and feel like some kind of royalty right there. I'm humbled.
This is true. The only thing I was missing was the Luke dancers. And, you know,
Too true.
A couple of frozen drinks from Wet Willie's.
Oh, he said Wet Willie's. What's good with Wet Willie's? Shout out to Wet Willie's out there on Ocean Drive. And what is that? Like, I don't even know what street that is, but Ocean Drive. Everybody from Miami knows what it is.
Yeah. I have a few fond memories of Wet Willie's, I'll tell you that.
That's greatness. How's everybody doing tonight? How's everyone doing?
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good?
I'm great.
All right.
I'm sitting in my last night of London.
Right.
Still celebrating my birthday, which was last week, by the way.
For real.
If anyone missed it, September 3rd.
Happy belated.
Thank you to everyone in the room. Yes, my 34th birthday.
Wow.
Yes, 34th. I'm getting old. No?
Hold on.
Nah.
Barely?
Use that word very carefully.
Barely.
Very carefully.
Well, touching the broadcasting world, then I guess I'm a newborn.
This is podcast number 2, right?
Podcast number 2.
I listened to the previous one that you done, and absolutely phenomenal, I must say, for a newbie, as you would call yourself. Yeah, props goes out to you.
Yay!
And
thank
it's a pleasure
you.
it's a pleasure being here on podcast number 2. Wow, I'm honored.
That's greatness. That's greatness. That means that we're gonna grow as a family.
Yeah,
we're gonna grow as a family, and that's even better. That's even better. How's everyone doing? How are you, DJ Sessions?
I'm good. I can't complain. I've got a couple more weeks left here in England before I head back to the frozen north. Trying to get tickets for the opening night of the Raptors so I can do the whole ring ceremony thing. You know what I mean? So I wasn't there for the championship run. You know what I mean? Even though for certain people out there that doubted me when we got the player that we got, that we wouldn't win the championship, they owe me money when I get back. Just letting you know, official.
You know you're not going to find them, innit?
Oh no, I'll find them. Like, couple of them work for me. So
right,
no
okay.
escaping it.
Oh wow, okay.
But no, I'm great. It's been great. I've been in England for like 6 weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's been the first time in 6 years since I've been back. So it's been a fantastic experience for me being back here and seeing the progress.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Lovely to hear. What about you, Jairzinho?
Well, we've spoken on a couple of occasions, and it's a pleasure, number one, to meet you. And
likewise.
Things has been, let's say, moving fast. I'm not used to being in the fast lane as such, but iLive UK has just recently launched, and there's a lot going on, which I'm sure we'll discuss in a little bit later. But those, let's say, I'm used to sleepless nights now and working on different time zones. So, you know, it's all go. Got a fantastic team here, and watch what's coming. And, when you start firing some questions, I'll give you all the answers that you need.
I just love this. I love this because this is completely improvised. Like, let me throw that out there. It's all improvisation.
We're just a bunch of friends having a
but that's
talk.
good. But that makes it even more organic. Makes it even more organic.
I agree.
And we're here as creatives that are here, and we all have different strengths.
Yeah.
But we're here. We're here.
Bravo.
So, wow, where do I start? Where do I start with such vets in the game? I'm going to start where I'm going to start. I'm freestyling this entire thing. Let me throw out my disclaimer from now.
Do your thing. Do you?
So once we reach that multi-millionaire status that I know we're going to reach, is that right? Is that right?
That's the plan, kind of.
No, that is what it is.
Yeah, it's the plan, kind of.
Here we are.
Yeah,
kind of.
Kind of.
No, that definitely is what it is. We are going to reach multi-millionaire status.
Yeah.
And we will.
Well, can I say, first of all, personally, the money aspect, yes, I understand where you're coming from, kind of. But
course.
I've been in this from the jump, but for me, it's not the money aspect of it. I get more joy out of seeing other people grow within this. I get so much satisfaction and joy out of it. If someone put a bunch of money, that I ain't going to be stupid. I'm going to take that money, of course, people to feed and, bills to pay, what have you. But my first enjoyment out of it is seeing the team, the people that listen to iLive, walk down the street, seeing a smile on someone's face. That gives me the get up and go. When I wake up every morning, why do I come to iLive? Because I've got something to say, something that is going to benefit someone out there. That's me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, don't start crying. Don't start crying.
We're getting kind of sobby-eyed over here.
Just real, man.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's real.
Keeping it real. No, yeah, he kept it real. You know what I mean? We're like Tweedledum and Tweedledee. We kind of bounce off each other. So usually I will say something a little bit anal right now, just to kind of bring the tone back up. But that's the very thing that connected us in the first place. Almost exactly 10 years ago on the 27th.
Yeah, the 27th of this month.
This month would be 10 years.
Yeah,
10th anniversary. Yeah, September 27th. So we both launched our individual radio stations together in Walthamstow, down the road at the 300 bar. I think it's called the Soul Bar then.
The Soul Bar, yeah, that's right.
300 Hoe Street. And we came together by meeting on internet radio. And we just like-minded people trying to do something. I was going to Canada and I wanted to stay connected to the UK, and he was doing his thing, and I used to actually follow him and look at how professional his setup was. My setup is professional because I watched him do what he did out of his house, and everything he had was just so well laid out. I was like, wow, that's what I want to get to at some point with what I was doing. So we kind of connected. And
let me just carry on what you're saying, the reason why I know I'm just bouncing back off you. The reason why I listened to DJ sessions was for how he was so knowledgeable and meticulous on how he organized himself. So him looking at me doing one thing, I was looking at him thinking exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So I was a walking musical encyclopedia, as people call me.
Wow.
But we both have a passion for music. We have a passion for people. And that's what iLive's about. The music's the music, right? You know what I mean? We've been in the game for a long time. We both come from pirate radio backgrounds. I did a little commercial radio as well. But, for me, it was always about the people. If people aren't being impacted, if the community is not being affected, then there's no point doing it. That's my whole thing in life. So it's about progress. It's about people, our new anonymous DJ that we can't talk about right now. That because he's not launched yet. People like him, coming in, developing in their space, developing their own brand, developing their own confidence, and really seeing them grow. And when I set up Toronto, 4.5 years ago now, that's the message I gave to everybody. I said this night, iLive is a thing that you cut your teeth, you learn your skills, and if someone comes in from a big commercial entity and plucks you out, fantastic. Because we've done our job.
Yep.
All right. So, and you'll always take us with you anyway. It doesn't matter. Exactly. Right. So the people aspect is the most important aspect of our life. That family, that kind of integration is the most important part for me.
I respect it. I respect it. I respect it. I respect it. So, all right. DJ session.
Yes, dear.
So tell me, what is it that, I'm just curious, what is it that propelled you in terms of like the music industry or music, so to speak, from a very young age? What inspired you?
Oh God, the history.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't mean to sound corny.
Talk the ting, bro. Talk the ting.
I just want to know like more the background of like, you know, like I look at how I look at music, and the way I look at music is a little different from growing up in America, but with an Ecuadorian background. The way that I interpreted and ingested music is far different than the common person, but I interpreted and internalized it the way that I did because of me.
Right.
So who is it that, not necessarily who is it, but where is it in the music and you coming up and growing up that you felt this is what I want to do? Like I want to talk music. I want to touch music. Like what is it?
That started from a very early age. So obviously, you know, our parents, Caribbean background, used to always play music in the house. That's a pretty much bog standard story for all Caribbeans.
Bog standard.
But actually, when I was 13, my older cousin had a sound system. And so I used to hang out with him and I was his box boy. So a box boy used to help carry the speakers up, right? Help string up the sets. So what I didn't understand, myself and my other cousin, who was the same age as me, when we were there kind of sitting on the boxes, waiting for them to finish, we were actually watching what they were doing. And my cousin would come over and say, like, look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. Listen to what they're doing. Look at what the crowd's doing. So he was training us to get to a point where when I was 15, he turns around after 2-year apprenticeship of yanking boxes upstairs.
Boxes, innit?
He says to me,
13 flights, mind you.
Trends nightclub, top floor.
Sounds nice.
18-inch speaker boxes. Weren't no joke.
Not nice.
All right. He said to us one day, he goes, "Can we buy records?" Like, you know, obviously we started buying records. And my cousin was a rare groove guy, so he used to play all these old like 70s and mid 70s, late 70s music. He says to me one day, he goes, "I know you love this stuff." He goes, "Do you have some records?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Bring them to the party tonight." So for the first time, me and my cousin did like the late set, like 6 o'clock in the morning. Put us on.
Nice.
I was a selector, my cousin was a DJ. Because in those days, you had a person that selected the music, and you had the guy that spun it.
That's right.
Okay.
All right? So my cousin used to spin, I used to select. And the selector's job was to kind of look at your audience and work out what to play next.
Yeah.
Right?
Gotta size the scene up.
And sometimes you have a little conversation. Yeah, it's going to work, don't worry. So a lot of my passion came from being able to select music, right? And then I learned how to DJ with it. But I've always been kind of attached to music. My ex-wife was a singer. I did a little production. I used to dance. I used to do a bunch of stuff. So I've always kind of been around music. And DJing, obviously, was my first passion. Fast forward to, I guess, the evolution of iLive. And what we're going to do here is that I'm a technology guy. You know, I'm an IT guy. And internet technology and streaming I was really kind of fascinated with back then. And the technology was growing pretty quickly. So we kind of started to leverage that. So I had this whole idea of building this platform of just putting wonderful music out there. And it will start with me, then I find other people that love wonderful music, and I'll get them to join, and we'll all go out there and kumbaya and link arms and take over the world with all this great music, right?
And do the most with all this great music.
Take it over with great music. So
Right.
that's how I started iLive. You know, even from a branding perspective, I wanted something that was powerful, that you could actually look at without actually reading and know exactly what it stood for. Jairzinho's involvement with iLive came pretty late because I actually wanted him to join earlier and he turned me down. He actually turned me down.
Is that salt?
So can I tell the story?
No, go ahead. Tell the story, man.
I'll tell the story. So we were both on this platform called Mogulus.
Mogulus.
Right. So Mogulus was an early video streaming platform. We used to be video streaming broadcasts.
All right.
And Mogulus shut down, right? So I went over. No, it wasn't Mogulus. Selfcast. Sorry, Selfcast first.
Yeah. Selfcast.
Selfcast. Yeah.
Okay.
So I went over to Mogulus, right? And I said to Jairzinho, like, why don't you just come over to think? He's like, no, you know, I got Real London Radio.
Yep.
And he was about to launch Love Freeness, and he's kind of doing it on his own. I was like, okay, cool. And this is when I was just on my own. So we did the joint launch party and continued. And then 4.5 years ago, I set it up properly, right, in Toronto with DJs. And once again, Jairzinho.
Jairzinho.
Where you at? No, I'm just kind of like not doing that anymore. He was on Supreme at the time.
Yeah.
Big DJ Bummer Supreme. You know what I mean? Too big for us internet radio broadcasters anymore.
No,
Okay.
I was remember. Correct yourself. Remember, yes, I was doing Supreme, but I was also doing the Love Freeness radio show via Mixlr.
Mixlr, well, yeah, but the Mixlr thing was kind of like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't even count that.
Yeah,
right. In other words, you turned me down.
He doesn't count that shit.
Now
it is what it is.
When I did it and I built it, and unfortunately we had a tragedy within our ranks. One of the founding members of iLive Toronto died 3 months after we launched, which was a big blow for us.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. Masimba, son of soul.
All right.
May he rest in peace. So he passed, and that really kind of mobilized us to continue. Because for a minute we were like, "What's the point?" Right? Like, one of our leaders has gone. This is pointless. You know, feeling sorry for ourselves. But we kind of remobilized, and Jairzinho decided he's going to come out. And I said to Jairzinho, "Come out and take a look at what we're doing. And if you take a look at what we're doing, then make a decision." Because in my head, I'm already thinking about iLive UK. And that's my guy, because we've been partners from the beginning. So I really need to get him out there to see it. And I say to people all the time that you have to see it to understand it. I can tell you everything, but you have to see it to understand it. Not just the space, but, you know, what we built in terms of a team, the direction we were going in, how the branding was being done, the stuff we'd done. So Jairzinho came out and he saw it for himself.
Blew my effing mind.
Blew your effing mind.
Blew my mind. Seriously. Now, I've been to many countries and seen a lot of stuff, but the fact that DJ Sessions invited me over to Toronto, and the moment I landed there, I felt an energy that I hadn't felt before. DJ Sessions took me out, showed me what iLive was trying to do, and I got to meet the team, whose energy was just like, okay, they are seriously on some different thing than the UK. They were passionate, together, unified, unlike what happens here in the UK, because the UK is quite disjointed and everybody's quite egotistical and about themselves. And I found that wasn't the thing with Toronto. Not only that, but the wealth of talent that they have out there was, and I'm not saying that UK don't have it, UK has it, but the talent that they had out there was just phenomenal. So for me, the experience of being there and seeing what happens on everyday life, walking down the street, reminded me of being like in the Caribbean. You can't walk past someone without them kind of giving that acknowledged nod, or someone saying, "Hey, how are you?" The whole infrastructure, just how everything was just built, it's just done properly. It was an experience in itself. Going downtown and experiencing these individuals that don't get the light shone on them, but they've got a wealth of talent.
Okay.
Here in the UK, okay, there's certain opportunities, but people don't grasp them. They don't have those, luxuries that we have here. They don't have the opportunities.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's all there. Then DJ Sessions teaching me about this guy, this woman, these artists come from this hub here, which is Canada or Toronto. And I was like, no, Ellen DeGeneres, I didn't know that she was a Torontonian. Mm-hmm. The guy from Saved by the Bell, Screech, I didn't know he was Canadian. We in the UK, we associated all these people with being Americans.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, you got the icon. Let me bring his name up. I mean, Drake. You know what I mean? It is an icon out that everybody knows.
Shout out to the Sixth God.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing about the Sixth God. Let's talk about.
So anyway, I've spoken enough.
Blasphemy.
One of the six gods.
Yeah. So
one of them.
So one of the things I just want to kind of reiterate, and I think the way you're asking the question is like, I remember when Jairzinho first walked into the iLive studios. When he first walked into the iLive studio, I said to him, "This is what I've built, right? And I built this to create a model for what we're going to do going forward." And he's like looking around and yeah. And I think the energy of that place, the energy of the people that's associated to us, because to us, the way we came together was like we're like a family, right? It's not just a radio station. Like we would go hang out at each other's houses, we would go out together. You know, if something goes down with someone, everyone knows. Like that's how we roll.
True.
In Toronto. And I said that is what the strength of iLive is. It's not the fact we've got a nice little glamorous station, we play good music. It's the strength of the vibrations that come from there for the people that are around it.
Totally.
The frequencies.
The frequency.
Frequencies.
Right?
There you go.
That's right.
So I knew that frequency would hit Jairzinho when he came. For all his obstinance and no. I knew the moment I got him into Toronto,
stubborn sometimes.
Caught the vibe,
Yeah.
then walked into that station, I knew I sealed the deal.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yeah,
So-
real talk.
Yeah, so after that, it was just him learning, bringing him back and learning more stuff, learning how to do this, learning how to do that. Because all I was doing was really preparing him to do this over 3 years.
So it seems like, okay, so when did you guys first start rocking?
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 2009?
Yep.
There you go.
All right. And as two prospects for getting into the broadcasting, what is it that motivated you individually? Like, what is it that is it more along the lines of I want to spread the message of what I think is good music. I want to spread the message of whatever I may think may be going on in terms of current events. Was it more broadcasting? Was it more music based?
My bio speaks of I enjoy when other people are enjoying themselves.
All right.
So coming from the background of my father used to be known in Tottenham for putting on some of the greatest house parties, as it were.
Nice.
Yeah, Fat Stanley's. My dad was one of those guys who used to be at Ronnie Scott's and knew all the guys down there. So as a little kid, I was taken down there. And I was just always around that kind of chilled and party environment. So the parties that my dad used to throw, I used to be that child, and everyone can kind of relate with this, where the adults are doing their thing, go upstairs to your room. So me and my cousins used to be at the top of the stairs, looking through the poles of on the stairs,
in admiration.
in admiration of what's going on.
Right.
But for me, more than actually seeing what's going on in the party, was watching my dad play the music, because he's had these big Leak. Do you remember the Leak? Yeah.
He had Leak.
Yeah, of course.
Respect.
He had those. And the music sounded so beautiful. And sitting there watching him with his velvet duster, cleaning the record, and then giving an announcement. Yeah, man, this tune I got boss. Yeah, watch this. And then putting the needle in the record. All that to me was just like, wow, I want to do that. And often enough on a Sunday when maybe parents had gone down to family, I would be there and I'll just do exactly the same thing. Moving on.
Your dad let you do that?
No, he didn't let me do that. He didn't know. Right? He didn't know.
You're lucky.
He didn't know I done that. Yeah, because that would have been another thing. But I'm sure he knew, because obviously you can't put the records back exactly you find it. So he knew, but as long as it weren't scratched. However, not to go into too much of a long story, I want to big up Winston McIntosh, who
big up,
who I used to start going out and doing house parties with. So cousin will be having a party, christening, wedding, whatever it may be, and we were called to play the tunes as backup because the parents wanted to party. Nice. So we'll be picking up the old Bob Marley's, Errol Dunkley, Gregory Isaacs, Barry White's, all these different tunes, and selecting it. As DJ Sessions said earlier, he'll be with his cousin. I was doing exactly that same thing, but in a house party environment. And the bug just got me from then. I never looked back. Then came 83, 84, 85, and the hip hop era came in.
Amen to
so
that.
That was me now. I was like, okay, I've learned this thing, but now I want to go into my own. And that's culture then took me to a different level.
Body in your own lane.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I hear that. What about you, Mr. Sessions?
What motivates me?
Yes. Briefly.
Inclusion. I believe everyone deserves an opportunity to be included.
Of course.
All right. So whether that's included in music, included in broadcasting music, included in being associated with organizations that talk about community. Like I said, my motivation is people. Like music is me. That's how I look at it. So, you know, for me, I want to be able to include everybody and their own passions in music and give them something to lay their head on and say, no, I own this in this space.
That was it?
That was short. You told me short, right?
Oh.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, go. Affirmation.
That was great and to the point. That was great and to the point. Now, all right, now, okay. So with it being yours, what is what are one of the things that you would want to influence others with? Like, what is something that you know that I'm passing this on to someone else?
Oh, Lord, yes.
Yeah, like,
So,
well, what are like the inner energies?
The inner energies.
Music?
Well, to me, there's two things I'm really passionate about when it comes to my music, and I really learned this when I'm from a young age. Is that, you know, if you go see hear someone on record, you go see them live, it's a different experience.
Absolutely.
Right. And the thing that used to annoy me the most is when I go see someone here on a record and they go there and they're doing a backing track of their own song with backing vocals.
I agree.
All right, so that's like karaoke to me.
Agree.
So one of the things I did when I decided to do my very first show in Toronto, which, you know, is our first anniversary, and I was like, what are we going to do for our first anniversary? I asking everyone, they're like, I don't know, a little party, something like that. I said, screw it, we're going to do a concert. All right, I said, who are we going to go get? Let's go get Omar Lafouk. So he hadn't been there for 10 years, did my research. Big artist in Canada, big artist in the UK, but massive big artist in Canada. And he hadn't been there for 10 years. And there was a situation that happened back in 2007 where he wasn't allowed to cross the border and lots of people bought tickets and they never got to see him. So when I decided I was going to do that, contacted his management. Shouts out to Lucia. If I don't give her a shout, she's going to kill me. We negotiated, we got that done. I was like, okay, so I've got him. Who else do I want to get? Now, Jairzinho talked about artists that he didn't know that were Canadian. I never knew Glenn Lewis was Canadian.
I barely knew that.
Right. Because he always marketed as an American artist. One of the guys in my radio station was good friends with Glenn Lewis. So he's like, Glenn's been doing nothing but sitting on his ass for 3 years after he lost his deal in his basement playing games. So I said, okay, cool. Let's reach out to him and see if he'll join the fray, which he did. All right. So I've got Omar, I've got Glenn Lewis, right, on this show. And then the guy called Anthony Outcast, who's a partner of ours, he came to me for the first time and he goes, there's this artist in Toronto called Lisa Bannon. I said, okay. And he goes, well, you know, is there any chance you can get on the show? I'm like, no, the show's closed. Like, who's Lisa Bannon? Like, what the hell, right? Like, I've got two big artists here. Like, what do I need a nobody for? That was kind of in my head. And he goes, well, you know, even if she can go upstairs, go up on stage and present something, I just want to give her a bit of a, you know, little bit of a shine. So I actually said, let me think about it. And I actually went away and I thought about what I'm trying to do. So, and this is the essence of iLive, right? I said, I've got two artists I know is going to bring bums on seats. But the person I really want them to see is a really talented artist they've never heard of. So if I get two artists that bring people and I focus another artist I've never heard of and she kills it, that all of a sudden that artist has new fans.
That's right.
Right?
True.
All right. So I said, sure, let her do it. She came, she killed. Right? She killed to the point where off the back of that show, the local radio station that will never play her started playing her because they were all there at the show. She sold a bunch of CDs and she became a very popular artist in Toronto.
Nice.
Right? And once I understood that was the reason why I'm doing this, that was my philosophy going forward for every show I do. Any show you see me do, I will put a big artist right next to a small artist. But I don't make a difference between the two. You are artists.
Amen.
You know what I mean? No pecking order. No, you're bigger than this person or smaller than that person. You all work just as hard on your art and your craft, right?
Amen.
You know what I mean? You're just at different positions in your career.
Amen to that.
You know, because those big artists were them years ago. So that's the whole thing with iLive, is that when I said about inclusion, like there's no hierarchy, there's no pecking order. I treat all the artists the same way.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
All right, now that you mention it, now I have to touch on that. So you being the originator of the iLive idea, here we are at iLive.uk, iLiveradio.com. All right. But what is the vision with iLive Radio? What was it and what is it?
Okay.
now that things have changed so dramatically
Do
in
I
just 10 years?
do I have to tell her the secrets of what everything
Well,
is?
I mean, things have changed so much.
I'm
you know.
gonna. So the
Blood.
misconception everyone has is that they think iLive's a radio station. It's not.
Okay,
We are a music organization.
I like that.
All right. So one of the things we do is radio. The idea for iLive in this incantation you see around you right now
Yeah.
was because when I was in Toronto, and Toronto's a fantastic festival city, man. Like from May till September.
Shout out to Toronto.
Yeah, man. That place has more
One
festivals
time.
per week
Oh,
than
yeah.
anywhere else I've ever seen in my life. And we're talking about not festivals that are exclusive, festivals that are inclusive. Meaning that you'll see as many Chinese and Indian people at Jerkfest as you see black people.
That's amazing.
Because that's how it goes down.
It's greatness.
It's Toronto, right?
I need to go to Toronto.
But they'll have they have indie rock festival, country festival, jazz festivals, hip hop festivals. The one thing they will never have and never had was a soul festival. Right? So I was like, oh shit, there's no soul festival here, yet there's a shitload of soul. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
There's
Come
a
on.
shitload of soul artists that come out of Toronto.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them. Melanie Fione, one. Deborah Cox,
She's another one.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Glenn Lewis. Like
Another one.
there's a ton of them that come out of Toronto. So to me, I was like, okay, how do I get to a festival? Well, radio doesn't play it, right? Because radio is very controlled in Toronto. Like they don't do urban radio. Like there's only one urban radio station, and that urban radio station has a restricted license, which means they can't play top 40 R&B. They have to play world music,
All the politics.
which means you can only play reggae, soca, or African music.
That's it.
That's it, right?
All the politics.
And there's about 10% of everything else, right? So there was this gap that I saw. So I said, okay, if I want to get to this soul festival, I have to build a platform, play the music, get everyone familiar with the music before I go do the festival. So I had a 5-year plan for iLive, which is start the radio station, ramp it up, do a couple of shows, build up to a festival in year 5. Well, what happened was we started iLive in 2016,
Yeah.
15. By 2017, we did our first
First
festival.
festival, yeah.
Nice.
And 2018, we did our second.
Nice.
And in between, we did shows. So we did Illa J, we did Jay Dilla's brother, we did Slacker the Beat Child, we did Omar, we did Loose Ends, we did Zoe, we did Sylvester Jones. Like, we did a
Quite
bunch.
a few, it sounds like.
A few. So the ramp up has been really quick,
Nice.
a lot quicker than I expected. But as you go, you re-strategize.
Yeah.
So
Right.
by year 2, I realized I had enough traction to start thinking about the UK. It's just when I was going to pull the trigger on the UK, not if.
So when you say you're going to pull the trigger on the UK, like, you know, a lot of people from around the world even will look at London or the UK as a whole and just think that this is a dream city to make music in, to perform in, to touch. What would make you describe it as so limited in a way? And that's important coming from two people who are natives.
I think that for me, if I had tried to do this in London, it wouldn't have got as far as it did.
No.
Because too many people would jump on you and pull you down to stop you
Alright.
from doing it.
Sounds
right?
Miami-ish.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Because no one had ever done it in Toronto before. What we've done is if we're the first people to actually do something like this and get to that
Nice.
level, it was a lot easier for us. But what it was is that if I could build it in a city that doesn't support the music and be successful, then once I've got the model, I could take it to London and immediately know it's going to be successful because you have a community that supports the music. So I cut my teeth and took all the blows in Toronto.
I hear that.
So that when I come here, I know exactly how to set the station up, the colours, the layout, the strategy, how we're going to do it,
Down to
what
the
we're going to
colors.
do, where we're going to do events, how we're going to do events, like where we're going to get to at the end. Like everyone's asking us, and Jairzinho will attest to this, like, what is the purpose of iLive? I said, well, you've seen it already. You saw it in Toronto. Why do you think I won't do it here?
Amen.
Same thing.
So
And
what?
why do I have to stop here?
I hear
That's
that.
right.
What's your perspective on it?
Identical. Totally the same.
All right. Now, having started pretty much like a decade ago, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So we've seen quite a change in technology and broadcasting and radio and podcasting. Where do you guys see the business model now in terms of music and music actually needing to be good? In your opinion, like in your opinion, versus when you guys first started now with the internet and podcasting and broadcasting?
For me, music has evolved rapidly, very fast. And we had a conversation on a show a couple of weeks back where it's imperative that because of how the music is changing, we need to kind of concentrate on said artists. Everybody can produce a track, so it seems these days, quite easy, as you said, with the technology that's there. But there's a difference between the quantity and the quality.
Amen.
So as a collective on iLive, you'll find that number one, we look at the quality of the artists. However, we don't not shine a light on those that may not, because they're just not ready yet. So me personally, I will give some of those that don't really have that quality airplay as well, because I believe everybody deserves a chance. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
However, it's important that we need to kind of look at an individual artist and try to help them, an individual, as much as you can. So where myself and DJ Sessions was talking before, he goes, well, I'm a person that plays independent, neo, soul, urban, gospel, whatever it may be, goes across a lot of boards. But in my shows, I tend to play a lot of people, and then sometimes they don't get played again.
Right.
Yeah, which is very true. How does you, the listener out there, get to know who a particular artist is? And it's a very valid point. What we need to do is concentrate on a couple of artists and focus on them. If it means that we play them or feature them for a set amount of weeks or something, or even hand out that olive branch to others around and get them involved and say, listen, there's a particular artist that needs that shine right now. They need that lift, that push. So if we move in the syndication, so it could be iLive, it could be another radio station, and we say, this is the artist that needs that kind of limelight. So would you join us in playing their music? You know, that kind of thing.
A collaborative effort. Yeah, that makes sense.
So as a unit now, as a unison, we're all going along the same path. Not only that, the listeners out there are recognizing that, oh, okay, well, I can listen here, I can listen here, I can listen here. They're now a name brand. That's how you build a household name, I would say.
All right. What about you?
Oh dear,
it looks like you're trying to add to it. I'm looking at you like
you really want me to start this subject up. All right,
you
fine.
don't have to.
No, I will, because I think it's important that people hear this.
All right, go ahead.
So I think, there is a lot of music, and that's the problem.
There is.
There's too much music,
too
right?
much.
And the reason I say that is because, back in the days of, before digital came around, before Pro Tools and all this kind of software-based stuff, where Fruity Loops was like the end of the music for me. But there's so many people that got now access to be able to make it, whether they're good or not, or learn their craft or not, they put it out.
True.
Right? So before, access to make music was a lot harder because you had to learn an instrument or know how to sing. You didn't have technologies that compensated for it, right? So what it's led to is this kind of explosion in music online. Now for radio stations, it's a struggle, right? Because you want to be able to play cutting edge new music. But as I said to Jairzinho in that conversation, I said, you get 100 tracks this week and someone sends you another 100 tracks. You're going to start digging into the new 100 tracks before and leave those 100 tracks below.
Very true.
So if we are supposed to be an artist-focused platform where we want to not just play music, but we help artists, right? You have to kind of find a happy medium in your programming that allows you to kind of feature certain artists or feature certain things. We've done a number of initiatives before. Jairzinho was part of one before with a couple of other radio DJs. We started something called the iLive 5x5 podcast, which is just basically a podcast that featured artists that we believed in. So we had like artists of the week. We do an interview with them.
Nice.
We do a hot five. We used to put it's like a 10-minute podcast. It was nothing
That's
great.
so nice.
Where's a little nugget? It's
No,
like,
no,
there you
no,
go.
no. It was great. It
It
was
was
great.
good.
So
It was
nice.
good.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
very
Okay,
good.
we're
That's
gonna
nice.
we're gonna start it again.
Yeah.
We
Because
should.
it was
do
a
it.
very, very good and well put together podcast.
Yeah.
The other thing as well when it comes to radio is radio goes through things where it kind of goes like that, then it goes like that. Like, you know, iTunes came out, killed off people buying vinyl, right?
Mm.
Okay, digital killed off vinyl. You know, Spotify is killing off radio,
Basically.
right? So you have to know how to kind of navigate that as a radio station and try and stay ahead of the curve.
Mm.
Now, I believe in live broadcasts because I think there's nothing better than human connectivity
I
to
agree.
the music, right? A curated show, not a curated playlist, a curated show,
Mm.
you know, has more legitimacy for me than a curated playlist. Like if you look at the Spotify ones, you know, you've got these influencers that say, okay, I've got all these followers, pay me to put your music on my podcast and you'll get someone to listen to it. Whether it's right or wrong, good or
Yeah,
bad,
but what does that do, though?
what does it really do?
Yeah.
Right? Because the artists are not eating off of it. You know,
Yeah.
you know, the other people are kind of making some money from it. And the people that are really making the money is Spotify.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So like I said, but right now that's the go-to for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is on Spotify. So we'll be stupid not to be on Spotify. Now we are on
Exactly.
Spotify. So all our podcasts now go to Spotify, which is great. We support the platform from that perspective, but I still believe that radio is irrelevant. Just the problem with radio is it doesn't understand the technology,
Right.
right? So for us, you know, we try to use the traditional broadcasting rules, if you want to call it that,
Mm.
like creating an actual station rather than people doing it from their houses, you know, be a part of something.
Right.
At the same time, you know, we're still working and fine-tuning our programming to ensure that we've got a good balance of two. Like, you know, making sure that up-and-coming artists, new artists get their shine, but also establishing some rotational artists
Yeah.
that can get some traction, right?
Mm.
Because how do you build fans?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you know, I can't make anyone a fan.
course not.
We talked about that woman, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you said she's going to release stuff, she's going to be a wicked artist. I said, no, she's not, because by next year you're going to forget about what her
it,
name
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Because you don't play her enough to give her traction. All right, and without that, you can't build fans.
Mm.
And that's what it's about. It's about his artists building fans. They won't make the money from their music, but they'll make the money from doing shows, touring, you know, placements, all that kind of stuff. So the only way you can do it is if you continually
Keep
kind
building.
of keep them in there.
Keep building. Wow, what an interesting, deep, and dynamic, diverse background you guys have. I barely know where to touch at after that point. So, all right. In a world where things are introduced so much as numbers, how important are numbers to you in terms of paying attention to an artist? Like, especially, you know, being that, you know, you guys are running an entire internet radio station, conglomerate. What are we calling it? A conglomerate? Let's call it that, right?
Yeah, let's call it conglomerate.
All right, it's a conglomerate. So, how do you know who to pay attention to nowadays in terms of, do you guys pay more attention to the numbers in terms of the streaming? Like, okay, this person has gotten, you know, 100,000 plays in the last week versus the quality of their music. How do you guys gauge that?
Can I answer this?
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
for it.
All right. So, first mantra of iLive, right, is we play what everybody else isn't.
Yep.
Nice.
We fit in the spaces in between.
Okay.
That's our first mantra,
All
right?
right.
So, with that being said, we don't care about numbers, but we do have two really good programmers. We've got Jairzinho this side, and we've got a young lady called Lucia D in Toronto. They're our music programmers.
Nice.
All right, so between them both and myself, especially in and around, we did the iLive 5x5.
Yeah.
We'll go look for music. We've got a shared Dropbox. We'll talk about the music. We're like, you know what, this artist is dope. Right, let's feature him in a certain way. So, you know, Lucia has a show, and she has a section called Beats Beneath, where she picks a producer. Right, so we'll talk about the producer, and she will feature them on a show. Jairzinho will do an interview of a particular artist we want to highlight
Nice.
on his show. You know, we have programming like Artist of the Week, Single of the Week. We'll do stuff like that to try and keep things in rotation in terms of our programming.
Yeah.
I don't care about numbers.
All right.
My whole thing is, if it's good and it sounds good, and there's integrity behind it, and usually the artist will connect with you and all that kind of stuff. And once you have that personal connection with them, you want to be able to help them even more, right? So,
True.
as long as those metrics or those markers are there for us, I don't care if you got 10,000 spins, 5 million spins.
Doesn't matter.
Makes sense. I like that answer. That's a great answer. Because some people only go by numbers now. Like now we're living in an age where everything is just numbers driven, where you could have somebody that could have even 1 million or in the millions of spins, and to me their music is trash. So it's like, how do you?
That's right.
Well,
how do you?
it's trash to you.
Yeah.
Because music's subjective.
I know it's subjective.
It's subjective.
I know.
It's how you make you feel.
But you cannot deny, as much as people try to cloak things in subjective or objective, you cannot denounce the fact there are certain artists that just seem to have a certain similar impact on many, many millions of people.
Yeah, true.
And to me, that says a lot. I think that now we're living in an age of everything is like numbers driven, but we're forgetting the quality of it, like you guys mentioned earlier. Whereas, those of us who are really music fans and really true music production, even music production, lyricism, whatever angle it is that you want to look at it, we still respect music in a different way.
The thing about it, we are accessible to falling into that trap where everything starts to sound the same.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too.
So,
especially coming from the States.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's.
At least to me.
I likened it to a tin of beans, right?
A what?
So a tin of baked beans. That's how I like her music, like modern music.
Mm-hmm.
There's a what we call a bill of materials that you build it up the same way.
Okay.
Every tin of beans looks the same.
All right.
Right. So what they do is, it doesn't matter if the label is red or the label is green or the label is purple.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, it's still baked beans.
All
Right? So what they'll do, they'll take an artist and they'll say, right, these are the things we're looking for in terms of what we think we can market to. Right, we want to hit this age group, this demographic. Who fits that? Okay, cool. That person fits it. Put on a conveyor belt, put them through the same process, make as much money as you can, kick them off.
Yeah.
That's why, what's the guy that did Gold Everything? Trinidad James, right? Trinidad James.
Yeah, Trinidad James,
Trinidad
Where is he now?
Yep. Can't see him. Hello?
Give it
Trinidad James, where you at?
Where you at?
Where you at?
Biggest tune on the road at the time.
That's right.
Right?
Gold all in my chain.
Yeah.
What was it? Gold all in my watch.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Dumbest lyrics ever, other than Panda. Yeah.
No, with him that was different because Kanye kind of took him under his belt. Who knows what happened after?
Yeah. Well, there you go, right? But
I don't know.
to me, like, the record labels changed enough
I don't know.
so that, and the music consortiums changed enough so that they knew how to turn out a product quickly, and they really used the model that Motown used back in the 60s. It was the same thing.
Well, that kind of blurs the vision too now. Like, and this goes for a lot of up and coming artists, and I think even radio personalities. Like, I think it boils down to, like, are you looking for that quick hit? Are you looking for that quick money and that quick check?
Yep.
Or are you looking for a career of longevity where you're an actual, stamp in the actual hip hop or R&B, urban demographic type of game? And I think that where we're at now, I honestly believe that people are more concerned with making a quick check.
Yep.
And I don't think people are so much concerned. A lot of artists are so much concerned in terms of, like, my legacy and my artistry. And, I don't think that a lot of that went out of the window, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you still have your artists that are true to the core of themselves, that are, I guess, so to speak, quote unquote true artists.
It's a minority, but you find
it's a minority, but they're
times
still
are
there.
changing. Like, as I said, we're moving really fast right now, and what people's got to realize that it goes around in a circle. So we are going to get back to a time where, listen, you just got to go back to grassroots, and you got to do it as you're meant to do it.
True.
Well, here's my take on that. Right.
Yeah.
And when you say it's a minority, I will accent that by saying it's the visible minority.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because if I take the US scene, is very different to the Toronto scene. The Toronto scene, because there's a certain whole demographic of people that are not catered for.
Oh yeah.
Right. They've built their own thing. They have their own crowds. They do their own music, and they are musicians first.
Nice.
Right. So, shout out to Donny Bar Institute.
Oh yeah.
What's good,
amazing
Donnie?
things.
Big up,
Yeah,
Donnie.
man. Like there's young guys out there doing some amazing things, musicianship wise. You know, they're about their craft and they're young, right?
Nice.
They're in their 20s, they're in their early 30s, like they're young. And the way I realized how that could be measured is when I brought artists over and I made them use a Canadian band, right? And that Canadian band will come and kill on their music. And they'll come back and say, you know what, I've never had a band kill on my music like that.
I need me a Canadian band.
Yeah,
Right.
like shouts out to The Recipe, shouts out to Dirty B-Sides.
Yeah.
Like
Sounds dope.
they just are Airplane Boys, Rob Cafeletto and those guys, Reverse.
Nice.
Like they are just musicians, right? And because they've got their own kind of ecosystem, to maintain themselves in that ecosystem, they have to be like exceptional within that ecosystem to stand out and to continue to work, right? So it's very unique. The States, very different, right? The UK, interestingly, and I'll talk about from a soul music perspective, is done, right now.
Done.
Finished. Over, done.
Elaborate, please.
All right, so
please.
UK soul used to dominate in the 80s
All right.
and into the 90s. So you take from loose ends right through to soul.
Yeah.
You know, you had the Omars, you had the Misha Parishes, like we dominated. We dominated the Americans in our own country.
Nice.
There was a turn around about 92 when a particular radio station, who I will not name, but I can name because they no longer exist, Choice FM, decided that in their playlisting that the American soul music takes precedence over UK soul music.
Wrong move.
All right. And then what they did was then start to bring these American artists over to perform. And when they started bringing them over to perform, like when they brought Boys to Men the first time, they had a UK group with them. When they brought Jodeci, they had a UK group with them. By the time the third show came around, and Choice FM was the dominant urban radio station.
Yeah.
By the time the third show came, they were no longer in the UK groups, right? They stopped doing it. So all of a sudden now, everyone's view was, we're looking over across the pond.
Yeah.
And if you're looking across the
best
pond, you're
thing.
looking at your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Where is your incentive to make music?
Gone.
Because you can never
Everyone's thinking America.
everyone's thinking
now.
America, right? So it's only now, what like Jairzinho said, that goes full circle, right? It's only now, in the last 3 years, you're starting to see the shoots come back with, you know, Children of Zeus, Emma V. Like you see, there's a lot of young artists now coming back and starting to get some precedence, starting to rise up again slowly. The thing that we need to do as a radio station is curate and nurture that and don't let it get stolen. Because the moment it becomes this thing that is sellable, you know, the majors are going to come in, offer the big money.
The moment
and
you
kill
lose
it off.
ownership.
Yeah, they lose ownership.
Yeah.
So we were trying to encourage all the radio stations around us to support that music and keep it with us
I hear
and make sure we support it and we've got a fair seat at the table in terms of where the music's going. Because without that, you're going to lose control of it, right? It
Exactly.
becomes commoditized, and then when it becomes commoditized, then it gets cheapened, and then
It's done.
it's done.
I like that. So, like, let's touch a little bit on that because I love the entire idea and the vision of a conglomerate that is owned by people of color, that is going to take over the world that is not owned by people of color. What is the vision behind iLive in terms of how can we all work together as minorities in the broadcasting world? You know, me being a podcasting host, songwriter, X, Y, and Z. But, you know, just how can we all work together as artists, as broadcasters, as radio personalities? How can we all work together with iLive to help all of us? What's the vision?
Collaborate and
Collaborate.
participate,
Very important.
right? Those are the two key words, right?
I like that.
And my phrase, so I hosted a songwriters retreat in Antigua in May.
Shout out to the songwriters in the room.
Yeah, songwriters in the room. So I actually had a retreat. And this is the wonderful thing about doing shows and connecting with artists. So Zoe, who's a Grammy-nominated artist, we brought him over to Toronto twice. He's a good friend of mine now. So when I had this stupid idea, because it was a stupid idea, let's be straight,
Yeah.
I said, I'm in Antigua. I'm here for a while. you know what? I should do a songwriters retreat. Write some artists over, spend a week, write some songs. Right? That's how I think. Right?
2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning. Remember
2
that?
o'clock in the morning, Jairzinho, I got this idea. I'm going to do a songwriters retreat here in Antigua. What? And then me like a fool, like, yeah, that's a great idea. It turned out absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it was crazy. But this is what I talk about, kind of like the phrase I'm going to say. So one of the things I'm about, one is branding is very important to me, and ambience is the other thing.
True.
Right? Meaning that I can't bring them over, stick them in some little house and, you know, expect them to do some stuff. They need to be able to be comfortable in their environment and want to be able to create.
True.
Right? So I've got this big hideout, this big complex with swimming pool, a jacuzzi, pool table, all that kind of stuff for the week. 2 minutes walk from the beach. We had a schedule. We walked down to the beach every day. 6 o'clock, went in the ocean for an hour and talked. Because a lot of it was about talking, right? Because these people hadn't really worked together before. They need to get to know each other, right? To be able to create. But the phrase that came out of it when I was kind of like putting it together for them, I said, if you are presented with the option, why not take the opportunity?
All right.
All right. So so the option was this: you can come to Antigua. You have to pay for your own flight, but I'll pay for everything else. I'll take care of your food, accommodation, everything.
I'm out to Antigua.
All right. So now the second part of that phrase is now in play. If you turn it down, don't say you didn't get the opportunity.
Amen.
Right.
Right.
So collaboration, participation, options and opportunity is what the message I say to anyone that wants to collaborate with iLive. In terms of what we want to do globally is that obviously, you know, I want it to continue to grow. We've got some interest in a guy who wanted to set one up in Japan. You know, I said hold off until the UK is done. You know, we may set one up in Miami. You never know.
All right.
You never know.
One time in Miami, 305 was good enough.
Yeah.
What's good 954 561 305? Where we at?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a radio station because we're not just a radio station.
No.
Like, so, you know,
yeah,
we
it's
are
much bigger than that.
We are also a record label, right? So we release our own artists and we release. I did it once again, stupid idea. I said to Jairzinho, I'll start a record label. He goes, what? Because I got his artist, Ray Robinson. He sent me some stuff. It was garbage. Let me go find some production for him, do some executive production and release it. And it was just an experiment, really, to see how it all worked.
That's right, yeah.
Nice.
And I knew I wanted to hit the UK, and I had contacts in the UK, and I said, right, and I've got a particular strategy of getting it out. That strategy of his first single got him to number 6 in the UK soul charts on his first go. So I said, oh, that's how it works. Not hard. Wow. This is pretty straightforward. And now he's going to be over on the 26th to do his first show here in London. And his album comes out on the 6th of October, which we don't have anything to do with, but that's his own album, but we did the EP.
Nice.
And once again, we're going to continue to develop artists and develop people and give people opportunities and get British artists with the Soulfest Lounge UK over to Canada and the US to do shows.
It's about collaborating, baby.
Collaboration, participation, option and opportunity.
I like that. All this open availability coming from minority boss men here in London. Look at that. So let me ask, all right, if you could, just at a glance, just Mr. DJ Sessions, if you could bring right now 3 artists from the UK to like really showcase them in the US and Canada.
Easy.
Who would it be?
Easy.
So
Easy.
I know how to do my own homework.
Children of Zeus, hands down. Children of Zeus.
Spell that, please.
Terry
You said
Walker.
that really
Terry Walker.
fast.
Children of Zeus.
All right.
They're from Manchester.
From Manchester. Terry Walker.
Terry Walker.
Because she's a beast. Performance-wise, absolute beast.
I gotta check her out.
Absolute beast. And the third one, actually, will probably be Emma V. Emma V.
Okay.
Right. If I want to get a good cross section of what young UK soul, neo soul, hip hop sounds like, they're my 3 front runners. My dark horse is the Mouse outfit.
You
The
had
mouse
to
outfit.
go there.
Yeah, man, the mouse outfit.
You had to
Like-
go there.
I will say this in your
He
podcast
said you
right
took
now.
one of my people.
Damn.
That's how you feel?
Right, so I will say this about the mouse outfit, and I will say it right on your podcast.
Go ahead, say whatever you want
They
to say.
are the next Roots, and I'm
Oh.
not playing.
Ooh, he just said it.
Whoa.
They are the next Roots.
Big accusations. I hear that.
No,
I
they
like
are the
that.
next Roots.
And that's
telling
that's
you.
so true. That is so true.
They
If
are
you've
the next
never
Roots.
heard of these
You
guys,
never listen.
they've been around for a long time. They've got a plethora of music that will blow your mind.
Live hip hop band.
Live
Amazing.
hip-hop band.
All right, so who are your three?
Exactly that. I
Did you
wouldn't
just
change
say-
that.
You
yeah.
agree? You wouldn't touch
We're
it?
on the same. We're on the same.
Yeah,
The thing
man, we
about
talk
it,
about this all the time.
myself and DJ Sessions talk once, twice, maybe 3 times a day about all this kind of stuff that we're doing, and we've kind of got our thoughts trained in a certain way where, okay, I'll say something and he'll be like, well, okay, cool, that's good, but go this direction, and vice versa. So where he says Children of Zeus, yep, most definitely. I'll even throw another person into the mix, Kemi Sulola.
Yeah, Kemi's good.
So watch out
She's good.
for that. Yeah, big.
Yeah, she's good. Ain't gonna lie, she's good.
All right. And anyone else you want to?
I'll stick with those for now.
All right,
Yeah.
that makes sense. No, that rocks. And I mean, that's definitely homework for me to do on my end, and everyone else who's listening, of course, because we need to communicate these things, and I think that's the power of it.
No, I've just thought of one more. See, they're coming to my head now.
Oh, all right, go ahead.
Kadeem Tyrell.
Kadeem Tyrell.
Yeah, that's another guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like Devin Morrison
There you
level
go.
business. Like
Devin Morris.
Devin's American.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, he's on Devin Morrison level.
Okay.
Stuff.
Look at all this homework I got to do. So let me ask you guys a question now. For just from the sheer observation of it, do you also experience, I suppose, as well. Do you guys feel that there's a major difference between what is showcased here and what's showcased in the States?
Yes.
Tell me more, because I'm curious about this one. I definitely want to hear this one.
So the major difference is size, right?
All right. Okay.
So size plays a major factor. So what's showcased here in our demographic community, yeah, once again, is this intrinsic bias towards American artists, right? So, and it's more older school artists. When I say people that were pre-internet explosion, social media explosion.
Right. Yeah.
So, you have like, the what's that chick that came over the other day that was in St. Lucia? Ledisi.
Yeah,
Ledisi or Ledisi, whatever we want to call it. Like Ledisi, like what's one of the things that always brings over? Like Eric Benet and those artists. These artists are established artists already. They've got their own fan base. They can go to any city in America, do a show, and they're gonna get money.
Of course.
Right? So in the States, someone like Raheem DeVaughn can
He's great.
but he can ask for 20,000 a show in the
Yeah, he
US
can.
because of the size of the US. Right? He comes to England, he's not going to get 20,000 a show, US. He's just not, right? Because the size of the crowds are different. Like you go somewhere, he'll do like an auditorium, 1,500 people easily. Comes to England, 500 people inside a jazz cafe. Is a difference, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the artists don't understand that piece.
So him doing 1,500 is really decent.
It's average, right? Yeah. Well, in the States, yeah. In Canada, if I
in the States, that's not a lot at all.
Well,
but that makes sense too.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
He can go do Essence Festival. He got a bunch of stuff
Of
he can
course.
do. Keeps him living, keeps him eating,
Yeah,
right?
and that's what they all do.
Keeps him rich,
Yeah.
right? But then when they come across the border to Canada, for example, like if I get 250 people out for Raheem DeVaughn, I'll be lucky because he's just not known.
He's known, but he's not
No.
known.
In Canada,
Okay.
he is not known known
I can
enough to
believe
get people
that.
out.
I can
Right?
believe that. Yeah.
However, because of the way Canada is, right? So, in my demographic that I'll go after in Canada, right? If I go get Children of Zeus, however, I could do 1,000 people because
Easy.
all of that youth culture knows
That's
Zeus,
what they're on.
right? They all know Zeus and they're fans of Zeus and they're waiting for Zeus to come, right? And I found that out last New Year's Eve actually.
Yeah, last year.
We had a young girl called Myra Mella who's from the West Coast, wicked artist. So she was on our Soulfest Lounge New Year's Eve party, and she was just using a keyboard and a talk box. And she says in it, she goes, there's these guys from the UK, from Manchester, I believe, called Children of Zeus. I want to do a song from them. I'm like,
What?
What?
You know Children of
we
Zeus?
know about Zeus.
Right.
Like to me, Zeus was our domain. Like we broke Zeus,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
That's the truth.
In Canada, and we broke Zeus for our demographic in the UK. Because I was telling everybody about Zeus, and they're like, "Who?" Like they're in your own country. I'm telling you about artists in your own country. And I'm in Canada. Like, don't be silly.
Exactly.
And that's going back a couple of years.
That's like 3
Good
years,
3
three and a half
yeah.
years ago. So when she did it, after she finished, I asked her and I said, "How do you know about Zeus?" She goes, "What are you talking about? Like Zeus is like gods to us, man. Like we're waiting for him to come here." I'm like, "Nah." So I go talk to another person from my age group. What, Zeus? Started knocking off all the names of the songs. I'm like, okay, all right.
They're onto something.
They're onto something,
Yeah.
right? So to answer your question in a roundabout way, there's a massive difference between the two. You know, we're a smaller market in the UK for everything that's not considered commercial. So this is considered niche here. It's considered niche in the States, right? Against the market, but your niche is 5,000 people in the auditorium.
Yeah. Off top. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like saying something maybe hot in Miami versus hot in Atlanta.
Right.
Hot in Atlanta versus hot in LA.
That's right.
Hot in LA versus hot in Louisiana. Like, like it's just different. But the way that is communicated is, obviously there's a much bigger scope here. Well, there's a bigger scope in a smaller place. Isn't that interesting?
Most funny.
It is.
Is it a bigger scope or is it, well, depends what you mean by scope.
A bigger scope in the sense of being able to really pay attention to someone without necessarily all the clutter.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Don't make it sound so gloomy. It's not. We're in Europe.
Listen,
We gotta make it sound better.
I'm an advocate for the. Jairzinho knows I am an advocate for the artist at all times. The artist has to eat. That's their career, right? So, when I see artist exploitation, it annoys me.
Oh yeah.
I hear that.
Right, and there's a lot of artist exploitation here.
Can you define artist exploitation?
Do you want me to go there? Because
Yes,
I can say it. Come leave it.
Please do, because that I'm gonna assume that that's worldwide, and I think that's
Okay,
relevant.
so I will say this: for the small independent artist who releases their music in the US, they'll get played on certain radio stations out here that are considered to be internet radio stations.
Okay.
There'll be communication going back and forth. The perception of the US artists is that they're blowing up in England because they're getting told, "I'm playing your music everywhere. Everyone knows you." Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Then they're like, "Well, shit, I need to go to the UK because I ain't getting no love in my city." You know what I mean? Like that. A whole city loves me over there, and maybe the whole country. But to get them from here to here, all of a sudden the promoter that's attached to this goes, "Well, if you want to come, pay your way." Yeah, pay your way, and then come do a performance at an event, right? Once again, the perception, right? They don't know any different. All they're hearing is the internet noise about, this great and this and this. They get over here, and I'm talking about first-hand experience of an artist that I actually brought to Canada, and he did a show over here. He goes, "I flew over here on the talk of another person who promoted a show that hardly anyone showed up to," and then he turns around and goes, "Oh, well, I can't pay you." Right? So he's flown himself over, found his own accommodation, does his show, doesn't get paid. Right? Or, worse still, fly them over, stick them inside of a dance with a bunch of DJs behind them, give them a crappy microphone and tell them to sing over some music. That's how you treat artists.
That's horrible.
All right?
Come on.
But that's
Time and time
but that's the
again.
norm, because the whole idea is that the promoter that's putting it on is getting all the love from the people that come, the 400 people that comes to his dance. Like, "Oh my God, you're so great because you brought
See,
this
this
over
for
and
the
this
artist,
over
it's
and
for
this."
the
Which is
promoter.
why what I said
Right.
earlier, you need to get out of this UK place and go and see the world, because
Yeah.
UK is very much egotistical it's about me, I am,
Yeah.
this and that and the other.
Yeah.
It's sad.
No one can say they've ever done an iLive show and didn't get paid
There you go.
handsomely,
There
That's
you
a
go.
great thing.
right? And
that's boss
Whether
brand
I
management.
whether I make my numbers or not, you're getting paid, right? That risk is mine, all right? So, and then when you kind of set budgets, like I've got a quick story to share about Zoe, and shout out to Zoe, that's my boy.
That's good.
But the first time I actually hired him for an event, I did it for a mutual friend of ours. So he gave me the friends and family rate for his 6-piece band plus himself and his
Nice.
singer, right?
Nice.
So I'm like, okay,
You hear
cool.
that 6-piece band?
Yeah, what-
7-piece band with a
Yeah,
vocalist.
the
Vocalist.
vocalist, yeah.
There you
right?
Oh,
So I'm like, okay, give me your price. I have a budget. And he gave me his price. He gave me his price, and I was like this. I was like, nah. He goes, so he thought, oh, maybe I've gone a little bit too high. He goes, well, I can kind of do this and do this. I said, no, you don't understand. I said, you're bringing a 7-piece band with you, or 7 of you, to Canada, and you're only charging me this? I said, no, this is my budget. You're going to get my budget. Done with it.
right.
He's like, what? I said, I won't feel good.
I hear
Bring
that.
you
Come on,
here,
man.
right? It's not. You have to eat. Like, this is stupid,
Exactly.
right? So I gave him budget. He did the show, had a fantastic time. But the thing he said to me afterwards, he goes, dude, you're a different guy. Anybody else would have said, oh, really? I saved this amount of money?
I ran
Cool,
with it.
we're good,
Right.
right? With iLive events, my whole thing was I make $0 once everything's done. I don't want to make any profit. So once you go with that mindset, you will front load the show to make it the best show it can possibly be.
Of course.
Because you
Like
know
a
how much you
boss.
can, like you know how much you're gonna make. Load the show, right? Make sure you have the right lighting. Make sure you have the right backline. Make sure you get the best musicians, because you want to present the best show you can possibly present, not only to the people that's watching it, but also to the people that's participating.
I like that.
Yeah, because that's what breeds loyalty. That's what
Yeah.
breeds camaraderie. When they feel that they're a part of something where they're not a commodity that's being used to make
That's
a promoter a bunch of money.
Amen.
Right.
They all know, I don't care about the money, I care about what I'm presenting.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if it means
That's all
that,
that matters, right?
yeah, like when we did the Omar Glenn Lewis one and we had the Prince died that year,
Oh, yeah.
we had
Yeah.
to change the set.
That's
We,
right.
we said, right, let's bring in a bunch more lighting.
Prince?
Yeah, Prince died that
Prince
year.
died it, yeah.
That year. Like literally 2 or 3 days before the show.
Yeah.
So all of a
Changed
sudden
it up.
now, they want to do a Prince tribute. I'm like, well, we need to get more lighting. What for? We have to do the whole purple thing.
Right.
So I spent a few more $1,000 and bought in a bunch of purple lighting, right, for their back part of the set. These are the things you do, so when people see it, they're like, wow.
Right.
And the performers are like, wow.
It's worthy saluting.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So let me ask you a question now. Because you never know who may be listening, what could you tell somebody who perhaps wants to start their own business idea or their dream behind their belief versus what numbers may look like? What would you say to that said person to help inspire them to actually go through with it?
Don't be afraid to fail.
That's
No.
a good one.
Even better, don't be afraid to succeed.
Even better. Oh man, I'm out here
Because
getting these answers.
If you're afraid to succeed, you will never reach the levels that you can attain. Because what people will do, they'll succeed and think next time they do something, they have to go better than that level. It becomes levels, right? So some people will only do it to a certain level and say that's a success. When you know you can go that extra mile and actually succeed,
Real.
all right? The other thing I would turn around and say is always have a plan.
Always have a plan.
Always have a plan. Like if you go into something without a plan, then you're just basically following and being driven and reacting,
Yeah.
right?
Always be proactive, never reactive.
Yeah. So Jairzinho knows, and I say it to everybody already, I play chess, like really well. And not chess like in the chessboard thing, but in terms of how I strategize. So we'll talk to someone and like I'm talking to our new host over here that we can't talk about. He that cannot be named right now.
Right.
All right.
The mystery.
All will become
So
clear.
he was talking about his history and what he's doing, and I'm listening, but I'm already 2 years ahead in my head.
Right. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I'm already 2 years ahead of where he thinks he is. All right. So I made a comment. I said, yeah, you can come to Canada, man. Get set up. Come over. Because I'm already 2 years ahead of where I'm at. All right. And that's how I think. Like, introduced to you and the podcasting. We kind of talked about it today, but the moment I met you, I was already 2 years ahead.
Right.
That's how it is. And sometimes
me and my animated self 2 years ahead.
I say to Jairzinho, sometimes you have to stop me from doing it, because sometimes I'll just go like.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There is and it isn't. It is and it isn't.
There's pros and its
there's
cons.
pros and its cons, right?
Pros and its cons.
There's pros and its cons. Usually around hard work.
You guys have thoroughly discussed this. Seemingly, you're like, last time we spoke about it.
Look, man. There's wins and losses, right?
No, of course.
Right, like in anything, right? Like when it comes to and also what I say to anybody that's in this thing, be willing to invest. Yeah. Because it's part of it becomes your life. It is. Right? If you're not willing to sacrifice for it, you will not get there. Trust. Right? And, as much as we celebrate the success of iLive, for me personally, there was a lot of personal losses to get here. Yeah. Right? So you make losses, you kind of
brush yourself
down and it's done. Whether that's financial, whether that's personal. There was a lot of sacrifices to get where we are, because I'm wholly focused on the vision, right? So, and sometimes it keeps you kind of like tunnel vision a little bit. You don't see things that you should see, and then you don't look at how your actions can impact others, because sometimes your drive is so intense, but you learn, right? You fall on your knees, you learn how, next time roll when I fall. Like, that's what it is. As long as you learn from what happens, and that's all good.
Amazing. Totally. I'm blown away between the insight that I've gotten from you, DJ Sessions, and you, DJ Jairzinho. You guys are both powerful, insightful men in the industry that is broadcasting, that is music, that is also business entrepreneurship, which I respect all of that. And I salute you both in this industry that is ever growing, and these ventures that are ever growing are going to be so much more lucrative and more adventurous.
We are the Borg.
We are.
Borg. So with that being said, this is I'm going to just bring it to a close. Well, anyways, this is Draya Ivy reporting here from Ivy Talks, of course, live in London. Not really live, but you know what I mean. But aside from that, I wanted to thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedules to sit here and talk with me about music, life, entrepreneurship, business, and where we're going to go in this world. And we have lots of places to go. Ain't that right?
Just the beginning.
And just the beginning.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you.